Remnants of the Terran Republic. Chapter 2. "Hold on! This is going to be rough!" Augustus bellowed as the ship loudly flickered out of warp. The Phoenix's walls shuddered, and the bow pitched erratically as the craft screamed with wild vibration, and everything for Marcus went black. He saw a dark shape, only one at first, then hundreds, large black silhouettes against a yellow sun, not defined enough to say what the shapes belonged to. They were almost bleary, like trying to see a picture through a glass of ice water bleary. Maybe if he concentrated... Slap! A sudden jolt brought Marcus back to the present. "Get up, kid," the old man stated. The red lights were still flashing. The sirens had stopped, most likely breaking from their warp exit. "What happened?" Marcus asked groggily. "I'll tell you what happened. That damned missile nearly sent us to the afterlife," exclaimed a now disheveled-looking Augustus. "But let's start with why the hell we're sitting in a half-dead tin can light years from anywhere, shall we?" Now sitting with his back to a bulkhead wall, Marcus responded. "Other than that scaly bastard giving us to the skits, stealing our ship. Most likely because we refused to grease his palms when we arrived at port," Marcus quipped. "Other than that, I decided we needed to get some air." Augustus let out a short, hearty laugh, as Marcus rubbed the pain from the back of his head and dried blood from his sandy black hair. "We? And how long was I out?" he asked, still rummy from his unscheduled nap. "Those are easy questions. I don't know in about 2 hours. 2 hours! You left me on the floor to bleed out for 2 hours. It's not like you were going anywhere," Augustus, laughing, responded. "Okay, what about being lost? Don't we have charts?" "No. We hit the FTL before the computer could finish triangulating our position. We are completely screwed for navigation." Making matters worse, that last explosion damaged our outer layer of armor and dislodged the FTL motor from its housing. I had to get that thing stable before I could wake you up. Or else, we could explode. "Point taken," Marcus answered as he arose of unstable feet. "At least no one will be following us." "Don't be too certain of that." A look of deadpan frankness overcoming his grandfather's face. "The skits wanted us enough to pay Wick no small fee. Their ships can track nearly anything, and the microparticles left by that blasted missile will lead them straight to us," he stated, as if it were inevitable. "Then we need to fight them," interjected Marcus. "With what we have, no missile, mines, or torpedoes, hell, we don't even have more than a few hundred rounds left for the chain gun. So we need to find a place to hide, a port, planet, even an asteroid or a shipwreck." He trailed as a faint marker buoy signal pinged across the ship's main display screen. Back at the ruined space station, the skit battlecruiser Sasta, meaning death in high skittish, came to dock. At the bottom of the ship's gangplank, a terrified Wick waited. As a trio of dark shadows filed down the metallic walkway, his stomach sank. "Good day, Empress Sala. Please excuse the mess. We had an incident earlier today." "Clearly," Sala said coldly. Her black eyes and that of her subordinates observed the burnt dock and damaged spacecraft. Wick had good reason to fear the queen of the skit. She was the only living descendant of the last emperor. To further stake her claim, she killed not only her own brother, but husband and nearly half the population of Skit. She was a calculated destroyer of worlds, and she had come to his backwater station for only one reason. "Where are the terrains you promised?" she inquired in a venomous tone. "My queen!" He started to stutter. "They tried to escape and were shot down." Now he was visibly shaking. "Whatever do you mean?" Her voice was calm, clear, and measured. "They blasted a hole through the airlock, evaded my capture, and caught my station on fire." Wick's nerves began to steady as his tale would sherry give him some bit of grace. "Very well," Sala stated calmly. "Where are the remains of their ship?" "They generated a warp bubble and took a locked missile with them. Have no fear, my Empress. They are surely dead." Sala turned from facing the pathetic lizard. Placing her folded hands behind her back, she gazed over the wreckage of the docking bays. She took a weighted breath. I'll let you in on a secret. During the Battle of Terra, we lost something. Something very important. You might even say it would be the key to reclaiming our empire and all other sectors in our near space. And Augustus Cassia was the only one that could give it to me. She spoke in her cold tone. Why are you telling me this? Wick said quietly. Sala took a step back. Because you won't tell anyone. And at her last word, one of her chaperones lifted his sidearm and Wick's head exploded outwards. Sala turned to the silent pair of shadows. Find me their trail. No mere missile would kill Augustus Cassia. The Remains of the Terran Republic. Chapter 3. 3 hours on impulse drive, it was as fast as they could travel with the damaged ship. 3 hours to help resurrect damaged and dying systems, to weld bucked bulkheads and strap down their now rattling engine. We took more damage than I thought, Augustus yelled over the popping jet sound of a plasma torch. Marcus stopped the torch to listen. We lost star charts, not just our heading, but the whole damn system is destroyed. Then our early warning system is only running at about 23%. Is that all? Marcus asked. That's not the half of it. The engine mounts are cracked nearly through, which can't be welded back together until we shut the drive down. Not to mention our armor. He stopped midway, though, as a navigation buoy appeared on the main display screen, cutting his to-do list short. As the marker sat like an abandoned sentinel in space, its warning flashed over the display. The battlefield of solar anima. Removal or salvage of any sort is prohibited. All trespassers will be punished in accordance to Terran Republic Law 129, 1A12. Terran Republic Law? How long has this been here? Marcus wondered aloud. As the Phoenix slowly passed the lonely lighthouse, they began to see it. The remains of what must have been a terrible fight. The crumbling wreckage of Terran transports, gunships, skit fighters, and even an Onyx yacht. All were damaged past the point of no return with scorch marks and massive hull breaches throughout the silent fleet. I haven't seen those before. Marcus pointed to a squad of 4 long ships that seemed to look like a flock of pointed rectangles with rocket engines on every conceivable spot. Those are harpooners, Augustus said with marked reverence. What's a harpooner? But instead of a response, Marcus watched as his grandfather walked down the hall to his bunk. After only a moment, he emerged from his quarters, dangling what appeared to be a key from his right hand. Without saying a word, he seated himself in the pilot's chair and firmly pressed the key into a previously unknown slot. Wake up, Miranda! Silence! Augustus shouted. What are you doing? Marcus asked, confused. Hello, Augustus, a woman's voice rang out, nearly startling Marcus off his feet. Wait, how did you get so old? She said. I haven't died yet, Augustus said with a tone of irritation. And is this Marcus? My, you have grown. I haven't seen you since. You haven't seen anything for a long time. The old man cut the voice off. Grandfather, what is going on? Marcus asked. Miranda is the original AI for this ship. He responded frankly, That's right. My ship. What have you done to my ship? The AI shouted with shock. Never mind that I need to know about those 4 boats out there, Augustus ordered. A few seconds passed by, and then Miranda spoke. Those are the whaler ships, Austin, Hood River, Charleston, and Astoria. They are American-class ships, designed to use a kinetic harpoon tipped with an EMP warhead to lash and restrain an enemy ship so boarding parties may land safely. There are manufactured dates. That's enough, Miranda. Please wake them up. Authorization 1987-2024. What is going on right now? Who are you? Marcus asked his grandfather with a shocked expression. Not now, was all Augustus said in response. All 4 AIs are awake. May I greet them? Miranda's disembodied voice pleaded. Yes, you may, but please see what they have that is still functional. I trust you already have your fix-it list. I certainly do, she said with joy. And then the voice was gone. What the literal hell is going on? Marcus chimed. We can talk about it later, provided we live through this. And with that, Augustus walked into the engine room. I need your help to get the mounts welded. Are you coming? He said from the now silent room. Marcus thought he could hear a tone of shame in his grandfather's voice. I'm on my way, was all he could think to say. Excuse me, excuse me. Excuse me! Miranda yelled over the cacophony of electric crackling and arcing howls of the welder. You don't need to yell, we're just finishing up, Marcus shouted. Setting his tool down, Augustus walked into the much quieter hall. Tell me you have some good news, he spoke. Good news first. All AIs are operational and all ships have harpoons armed, and on their fire delivery rails, everything else is a mixed bag, I'm afraid. They are low on, well, everything. I was able to send a shipping drone to the Hood and Charleston. We now have 3,189 rounds of chain gun ammunition, 56 of which are chemical incineration rounds. The Hood also had a case of magnetic micro-mines, which are now in the previously empty flare tubes. The Austin was cleaned out of all ammunition and weapons, but I was able to digitally receive a copy of its star charts. Augustus frowned. A lot of good it does us without a new relay and fusses for the mapping computer. I talked to my counterpart on the Astoria, and she has all the parts you need for the maps, long-range sensors, life support systems, and even spare plates for our armor, she interjected. We didn't have life support working? Augustus said. No, it's working, but my calculations indicated that it would last much longer. But none of that is important because Maddie has everything we need. Maddie? Questioned Augustus. That is how she asked me to refer to her as. She was able to regenerate a breathable atmosphere on decks 1-4, so one of you will need to go over there and pick everything up. Hey, kid, I need to send you out for the groceries, Augustus shouted so his grandson could hear him. About 10 minutes later, the Phoenix made contact with the Astoria's docking system. As Marcus observed the long, abandoned docking bay, Augustus placed a hand on the young man's shoulder. Just follow the AI and she will lead you to everything we need. You need to be quick. God only knows how much time we have. Walking from their ship, he could hear the airlock close shut behind him. Hello, he said to the empty air in front of him. Hi. The AI appeared in a holographic form from the apparent emptiness. This time he did fall backwards from the sudden appearance. She was a tall and slender, short-haired blonde woman with ice-blue eyes. Her deep blue uniform made for a striking appearance. I'm so sorry, I must have startled you. I've been alone here for so long I forgot that I can have that effect on people. The AI apologized. Marcus was standing now. Miranda told me you don't have long and we need to be quick. Please follow me. Oh, I'm Maddie or Madeline if you prefer, she continued. Maddie is good with me. I'll be okay. I'm just starting to get used to an AI with a personality and one with a body is completely new to me, he said. Oh? Did the Republic stop using visual onboard assistance? Maddie said with surprise. The Republic has been gone for the last 150 years. The only AI I've ever uses was more like a standard computer program than a person, Marcus said without thinking. Stopping in front of her visitor, she turned to face him. With tears in her eyes, she asked, no pleaded, how? For the first time he saw her, not a light-generated ghost, but a scarred and upset young woman. Instantly, his mouth went dry, and he felt both shame and sadness. The skit came to Earth and everything the Republic had met them. Now both their empire and the Terran Republic are gone. The skit had a civil war and what remains are slave-trading warlords, he said sheepishly. With a shaky voice, she responded, And humanity? Searching for the words, Marcus finally forced his reply. We're scattered. We exist on a 1,000 different worlds under heaven only knows how many governments, confederacies, and out-and-out anarchy. But humanity still remains? She asked, while whipping a tear from her eyes. Yes. Marcus answered, and with that short, simple piece of hope, she smiled. They continued their walk from one corridor to another, stopping on the way to pick up pieces of tech as they traveled. All the way in silence. That's the last of it, Marcus said quietly, closing the door to the last equipment bunker they came to. Please follow me, Maddie said in an equally quiet tone. She walked 2 doors up and stopped. Marcus stopped just behind her. A small placard over the door read, Second Mate Madeline J. Wood. Without needing to be asked, Maddie started talking. As per regulations, the servicing highest-ranking officer in the event of an abandoned ship order must remain behind to man whatever resistance he or she can offer and to aid in the safe evacuation of all personnel. With the help of the ship's AI, of course. She walked into the room. It was clean, orderly, almost entirely Spartan, except for a faded leather-bound book lying on the floor near the bed. Next to it, a picture of a smiling young blonde woman holding a young girl with ice-blue eyes and a handsome man holding them both surrounded by a field of sunflowers. There are yellow petals and black centers still complementing their joyful expressions after all these years. As he watched his host walk in the room and stop in front of the small bed, he thought he could see blonde hair poking out from underneath the ancient clovers. She was injured bad. She stayed, and there was nothing I could do. She sobbed. We got everyone that was still alive to emergency pods, and after it was all over, we gathered the dead and gave them a Terran space funnel, incinerated and ashes released into space, so that their souls could be at rest in the void. But I couldn't do that for her. I can't pick her up and give her rest. The tears streaming from her face were so real that he could have sworn they were wetting the floor. She was my friend, she cried. I stayed with her until she left. We talked about her daughter, about the first time she met her husband, and how she cried for weeks when the skit stole them from her. She asked if I could show her what her daughter might have looked like if she had been able to grow up. So I took this form, and after she died, I adopted my friend's name so some part of her may live on in some sort of memory. Slowly walking up to Maddie, Marcus stopped, bent down, and picked up the book and picture. Setting them both on the bed, he gently picked up the fragile package before him. Cradling what must have been his most important cargo, he walked out of the room and down the hall. The mournful pair made it to the cargo bay, where a glass box with metal pipes perforated with holes shared a common wall with an airlock that led to the piece of space. Marcus set his bundle gently inside, walked out, and shut the door. It was 5 seconds before the flames started. The two of them watched as the fire engulfed the last of the Republic's heroes. The funeral lasted only a few minutes, after which the outer door opened, releasing her soul to rejoin her family in the heavenly body of the cosmos. The last to drift to infinity was a singed picture of a smiling little girl and her happy family. Maddie stayed there, gazing off into space, this time with tears of joy streaming down her angelic face as Marcus walked up the corridor. A few moments later, he returned, carrying their badly needed items. Maddie stopped him. "Thank you," she said. "I can never repay what you have done, but I must ask you for one more thing," she said, whipping her face dry. "Name it," he said. She took a long breath. "We AIS can't self-terminate." His face lost all expression. "I and my sisters have been alone for so long. Our time was up long ago. Please, when your ship is fixed, have Miranda send us a virus so we may finally rest. She will know what one." "Can't we take you with us?" he pleaded. "We AIs are bound to our ships. And yours is awaiting you, please, go," was her response. Marcus watched from the main display as Maddie's personage disappeared as the Phoenix kicked off the Astoria and drifted between the school of silent ships. The Remnants of the Terran Republic. Chapter 4. Marcus, be quick with those parts. I need to get the life support running again at 100%. His grandfather called out as the ship pulled away from the Astoria. Sure, was his only reply. Whappened over there? How bad was the ship? He asked. I think I need to talk to him. Miranda's voice interjected. Marcus, would you be so kind as to step into the other room with me? Marcus set his collection of odds and ends down and with an exhausted gait stated to make his way to the next room. Oh, and Augustus, please remember that plus is positive and minus is negative, Miranda's voice said. Grumbled complain was his response. Marcus walked to the other room with his shell-shocked eyes. As soon as he was out of sight from his grandfather, Miranda asked, Did she ask for you to have me terminate all the other AIs as well as herself? Marcus remained silent. Damn it, I wasn't afraid of that, she said with pain starting to growing in her voice. Will you do it? He asked as he looked down so no one could see a tear run down his cheek. I have little choice. I must. This time it was Miranda's time to cry. The sounds of a woman's voice cracking with pain made him wish she was actual flesh and bone, so they both could have someone to hold in this moment of grief. Marcus, Augustus interrupted, I have to get your help. Okay, I'm coming. Quickly drying his face, Marcus walked back out. Augustus gave him an all-too-precious moment before he began. I need you to get the star charts up and running. Can you do this for me? Yes, I can, Marcus answered, trying to display some sort of confidence. Walking over to the pile of assorted items, he quickly found all the things he needed and got to work. Staying busy and doing something with his hands offered him a great relief for his still somber mind. As he finished turning the last screw into place, Marcus couldn't help but overhear his grandfather and Miranda talking softly. I already talked it over with the other AIs. This plan has the best hope for working, Miranda spoke quietly. These skit aren't stupid. They will know it's a trap, especially if she's the one at the helm. Augustus responded, Still, this is the best opportunity we will get to end this, no matter who their leader is, she said. Marcus couldn't take it anymore. He shot up from underneath the console he was working on. With tools and broken parts clattering, he stood up and walked over to his grandfather and his invisible advisor. What's the plan? Whatever it is, let's do it. Let's stop whatever game of chase was initiated at the station. If it makes it so, there are a few less slavers in the galaxy, the better, he said in as confident a tone as he could muster. It's your idea, dear. You tell the kid, his grandfather said, sounding irritated about the whole thing. Thanks, hun, she said back with sarcasm. Then she began. It's straightforward enough. The harpoon boats are naturally on our four corners already. We send out a SO signal, and then we and the other ships dim our lights, so to speak. Once the enemy comes to scoop us up, their warship will be hit by 4-EMP harpoons. Once it's dead in the water, we use our mines and chemical rounds to breach their engine's core and control the bridge. Luckily for us, the skit don't trust anyone, so they're in the same place on their ships. Once their ship is dead, their leadership is dead. We run like hell and pray we don't get caught. Marcus, looking dumbstruck, stated, So our plan is to use what little we have to destroy a warship? And run like hell, yes, the AI said. What could go wrong? Augustus said sarcastically. When do we start? Marcus quipped. The AI laughed politely. We already have, and as if by some divine providence had desired to throw them the worst hand imaginable. Their long-range sensors warned of an incoming vessel. Looks like we don't have much time. That damn thing is closing in fast, Augustus said as he scrambled to the display. I've already taken liberties to plot a course for the next Terran colony. If we can make it, we will have to make sure to refit and reload this old ship there. The AI mused. I'm starting to understand why she has been unplugged for so long, Marcus said. Marcus said, Boy, you don't even know the half of it, Augustus said frantically as he ran to his seat at the helm. Marcus took his seat next to his grandfather. "I guess I'm on gun and prayer duty," he said, wanting to make it sound like a joke but getting no laughter in response. As the skit ship started to enter the battlefield, all was quiet, like the very presence of death was there with them.